A beautiful day here once again in Multan. Day one belonged to Pakistan with Abdullah Shafiq and Shan Masood really putting Pakistan in the driver's seat and scoring some much needed runs at the top. Hard day for England overall. It was a toil for their bowlers in this heat, but they'd be hoping to turn things around today, and it'll be time for some redemption by getting those early wickets in that first session. Now, I've been joined by my guests here today. I've got Michael Atherton and Bazid Khan. Athers, a very warm welcome to you firstly. It's always great to have you back in Pakistan. Familiar territory for you as well. You were here 2 years ago. But a hard day for England out there in the field yesterday. It was hot and not much help in that wicket for the England bowlers.
Absolutely, Zainab. A very flat pitch by English standards when the bowlers are used to surfaces with a bit more help, both in the air and off the pitch, and a Duke's ball, which is much more bowler friendly. This was very different conditions. So I actually thought they did pretty well in the final session, because if a team is struggling, it's usually that third session where a team starts to fray a little bit. And actually, by taking 3 wickets in that last session, they brought themselves back into the game a touch. So it was definitely Pakistan's day. If you finish the first day of a test match 328 for 4, then you know you've had a good day. And obviously Shan Masood and Abdullah Shafiq played superbly. But on this kind of a surface, 450 is a par score, and we've seen it in this Pakistan summer that even 450 doesn't guarantee you to avoid defeat. You know, Pakistan going down against Bangladesh when they scored that first innings score. So yeah, absolutely. England's still in the game, but they'll want to have a good first session here today.
But Shan Masood needed some runs at the top, Bazid. When you talk about Pakistan and that top order, we've seen that they've struggled. Abdullah Shafiq hasn't been able to get runs in that series against Bangladesh. Same with Shan Masood as well. He's been under a lot of pressure as a captain. But this was the time for him to step up, and that's exactly what we saw from him. A brilliant knock from him.
Yeah, look, not many captains would be still captain once you lose to Bangladesh 2-0 in Pakistan. We've seen that already. Even before the series, he should count himself lucky, because Pakistan heads roll after such a massive series loss. And credit to the selectors and the management to actually stick with almost the same team, and the captain to let him then get on. And with Abdullah Shafiq as well, it was the perfect pitch really to get yourself back in form. They're short of runs, but on a pitch which offered nothing really for the bowlers. It's the type of pitch you don't want to miss out on. And if he had been run out on 35, he'd be sitting in the dressing room almost wanting to jump off a cliff, because it was the ideal opportunity for him, and he made it count. And that's what you have to do. He had a terrific start to his career, did Abdullah Shafiq. Then he got a little dip. Now hopefully this will kick him back on to scoring big runs.
It's never easy, Athers. I mean, you know, anyone who's played the game would understand that when you're out of form, you know, it can obviously hamper your confidence. And we saw that with Abdullah Shafiq. Like Bazid pointed out, that, you know, he started off really well in his career by scoring runs, getting those 50s and 100s. And then he went through that patch of not getting any runs, which we've seen that last 1 year. It shows a lot of character of an individual, of a player, when they're able to come through and score the way he did yesterday.
Absolutely. No player, unless you say Don Bradman or somebody, no player goes through a career without peaks and troughs. Virtually every cricketer that I've known goes through a passage of time in their career where the runs are a bit harder to come by. The bowlers start to work you out. They, you know, in this day and age, obviously there's so much analysis done by the backroom staff now. You can come into Test cricket, but then after a year or so, people start to know your game a little bit. They start to work out your weaknesses. So you have to find ways of responding to that. And I think the measure of a player is how you bounce back from difficult periods, really. And just looking at him yesterday, he looked very composed to me at the start. Often when you watch a player who's coming in on the back of a poor run of form and in desperate need of runs, they can look a bit nervy, a bit edgy at the start of an innings. But I thought actually of the two yesterday, Abdullah Shafiq and Shan Masood, I thought it was Shafiq who looked the more composed and the more in control at the start of the day. I thought Shan Masood played superbly as well, and certainly was more attacking. But Abdullah Shafiq, apart from the run out that Bazid mentioned when Ollie Pope should have run him out really and had a bit more time than he thought, he really didn't give a chance, and he looked very composed and in control. So he's always looked a good player to me. He looks technically very sound. I don't look at him and think there's areas of real weakness there. So yeah, a very good innings from him and much needed runs.
It was also an ideal opportunity for someone like Babar Azam to score some runs, Bazid, but England got his wicket just in the late hours of the day, and an important wicket because these are the kind of conditions that you would like to imagine really favour Babar.
Yeah, he can't buy a run at the moment with his lofty standards, him going through such a patch where he can't get runs. And you look at him and the way that he gets out, it's not a particular way that he's getting out. There's caught behinds, there's the LBWs, there's maybe the pull shot. So it's not one particular weakness that you can point out, look, this is where he's struggling at. So I just feel that it's not a technical issue, it's more mental than anything else. Maybe he's fatigued, maybe he needs time off, maybe he needs to, I mentioned this on comms yesterday, maybe he needs to go down a level and play some cricket there, because the intensity that he's been playing at for the past maybe 3-4 years with international cricket, being captain, all format players, all format batters are very rare now. They're very rare across the globe in men's cricket.
All right, well, maybe, he just needs, like Athas said, everybody goes to that patch where they need to come out of it and score some runs. That's exactly what Babar Azam needs as well, because he is a quality player and it just requires perhaps one innings of that 50 or 100 to really regain that confidence back. We'll take a short breather and we'll be back just in a bit and have a closer look at the pitch. Back on pitch side, and we're on day 2 of this test match between Pakistan and England. Now we saw that the pitch really favoured the batters yesterday, and Abdullah Shafiq and Shan Masood made the most of it. How is it going to fare today? Are there any cracks on the track? Is it going to fare any differently? Let's find out from Amir Sohail, who's out there with the pitch report.
Regarding this pitch, there was a lot of conjecture how the pitch is going to behave. There was a tinge of grass available, but it didn't respond to the fast bowlers. And the spinners, they really had to toil hard and give it a real rip to get a bit of response from the surface. Let's find out how the pitch is going to behave on day 2. If you look at this spot, the cracks are widening up and it's abrasive. So if the fast bowlers are going to get something, they have to look for reverse swing. Other than that, I think this pitch is still good for batting. Spinners, yes, they will get some purchase, but that after tea.
Well, it's still a great track for batting, but it's starting to open up a little bit, Baz. I mean, just in terms of how it's going to be different, let's just talk about that. Is there going to be a lot of difference in terms of how it plays today, or pretty much, would you say, a placid track that we saw yesterday?
Not today, I don't think. I think further down the line, maybe 4th day, maybe 5th day, where the cracks really come into play and the ball stays down. Otherwise, it's almost like playing on concrete, nothing really happening. Slow concrete, where if you bang it in, it comes slowly. So not much to work with. The only thing I can say is that when England won in Rawalpindi, they had 10 overs or 8 overs where they just conceded 10 runs. And that sort of broke the chase for Pakistan, and Pakistan felt the pressure. That's probably the only way you can do, but you have to be ultra perfect in your length. So Anderson, Robinson, that kind of spell can add pressure.
All right, so it's going to be another day where the bowlers really have to sort of be on the money in terms of how they're bowling. We'll take another breather. When we come back, we can talk to Athas about what he feels. What can the English bowlers do? How can they create magic and turn things around for England here? Well, we're back on pitch side and we're talking about the fact how difficult it was for the English bowlers, and they did pretty well at the back end of yesterday's play. We saw that all-important wicket of Babar Azam as well. What do they need to do today? Is it going to be any different for them today? Arooj Mumtaz caught up with Gus Atkinson, who spoke about how he feels England will be able to get wickets on this track.
Gus, thank you for your time. How's the body feeling? Must have been a challenging day yesterday.
Yeah, a bit tired. Obviously, it was a long day, hot, not really used to the conditions, but no, rested well last night and looking forward to today.
Well, the group must have been really proud. 86 overs in the sweltering heat conditions and 4 wickets to show for. Must have been a slightly happier camp walking off yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, at one point we were slightly staring down the barrel. They were, I don't know, 250 for one or whatever. But to take those 3 wickets, I think in the evening session was really big, and hopefully we can take a few early ones this morning.
Now, you must have spoken to peers of the past as to how difficult it is for especially the quicker bowlers to bowl here. You must have had some expectation or envisioned something. How different was it in reality?
Yeah, it was difficult. I mean, we couldn't really get the ball reversing, so out here that's a big thing. So we didn't really have much help with the pitch or through the air. We knew it'd be difficult, but obviously it was a difficult day yesterday. But hopefully we can do better today.
Now, 328 for 4, slightly overcast this morning. Slightly more different plans for today, and how do you see the Test match setup?
Haven't really spoken about plans too much yet. I think we'll assess early and see what we can do, how we can take wickets and try and put pressure on the Pakistani batters. I feel like if we can take some early wickets, then the game's in the balance. We know we can score quickly, so if we can bowl them out, I don't know, 450, hopefully we can score a big total and potentially hopefully go past them.
All right, thanks, and go well today.
No problem, thank you.
Well, there you heard it from Gus Atkinson, how difficult it has been for the English bowlers. But today is yet another day for them, and they can really sort of turn things around if they're able to bowl well in that first session. Just a quick look at the scorecard then. Abdullah Shafiq, like we mentioned, scored that all-important 100, which is going to be important for him going ahead in this Test series. And Shan Masood, the skipper, leading from the front, making those all-important 151 runs. At the end of the day's play, Pakistan with 328 for 4. The England bowlers then once again taking 2 wickets. Gus Atkinson and Chris Wokes chipping in with 1. That all-important wicket, we keep talking about it, of Babar Azam was taken at the end of back end of things. And generally as well, like we said, Athas, it was a tough day for them. They did pretty well, got that all-important wicket. And we were hearing from Gus as well how important it's going to be for them to be taking early wickets today. So how can sort of England regroup and come back? I mean, what is going to be their strategy today?
Well, there's a couple of things. One is their conditioning. They're just out of an English season where they've been playing in single-figure temperatures and driving rain in Bristol. So how are their bodies after a day in the heat and the dust of Multan? So that will be important to see how they rock up this morning. Are they fresh? Are they fit? Secondly, what will the pitch do? It's definitely more cracked than it was yesterday. But I think Bazid's right that there's not going to be a whole lot of difference between yesterday and today. But there's certainly cracks and more showing than they were yesterday. Thirdly, they've got a new ball. The new ball is on. Second new ball is only 5 overs old. There was definitely a little bit more movement last night for Chris Wokes. When he got that wicket of Babar Azam, he beat him on the outside edge and then beat him on the inside edge. So there's things to look forward to this morning. And if they can get early wickets, they're still in this game.
Quick thoughts, any target that Pakistan is looking at? I mean, is it too premature to be talking about that?
I think they definitely want 200 more runs considering the pitch.
200 more runs is what we are looking at from Pakistan's perspective. And we saw that in the first Test match as well, that they were looking for more runs but lost against Bangladesh. We're going to take a short break, and when we do come back, we'll be back with all the live action, so don't go anywhere.